Good afternoon, and thank you for attending this workshop. How is everyone? Good. I hope you're all happy to be here, because I am very happy to be here after Boston being buried in around 4 feet of snow. I don't know if anyone else came from snowy climates, but this 70 degrees and sunny feels very nice. So without further ado, I'll kick it off. So my name is Scott Evans, and I am an analyst at ARC. I've been here for around 2 years after graduating from Brandeis University in Massachusetts in 2012. So at ARC, my responsibilities are research of emerging technologies such as 3D printing, 3D laser scanning, and autonomous mobile robotics, and I've also been involved in ARC's workforce development initiatives. Okay, so just to briefly go over the format, first of all. First, I'm just going to go over the workshop format and share a little bit about what ARC has learned on this subject. Next, I am delighted to introduce 4 speakers. We'll hear from Alyssa Thomas from Dow Chemical, Tyler Lemke from 3M, Tim Schultz from Owens Corning, and finally, Patty Sparrow, formerly of ExxonMobil. And they'll share their experiences and discuss the training and onboarding programs of their employers. And after the presentations, we'll have a 15-minute question and answer session for any comprehension type questions. If you have a discussion question, please keep that for the roundtable discussions, which will happen after the presentations conclude. And that will occur at 2:50. So one thing I just want to make clear is that the presentations are intended to be a platform to start a dialogue, to share ideas. They're not really prescriptive. We're not necessarily promoting a correct approach versus a wrong approach. So please keep this theme of open-mindedness in your hearts and bring it with you to the roundtable discussions, along with respect and collaboration. So when it comes to the round tables, please mix and match. That means that if more than one person from your organization is in attendance, I would encourage you to please spread out. At each table, I think we should have enough for an ARC representative at each table as a facilitator. When it comes to the round table, just begin with a brief introduction of who you are, what company you're from. And the first thing each table should do is nominate an official scribe who will take notes on the top points and conclusions from the table. Those will be shared after the roundtable discussions conclude. Following that, it's really up to you. We'll have a few discussion questions to help start a dialogue, but you're really free to discuss anything related to our topic of the future workforce. And after the discussion, each table is going to share their finding. So here's a sample summary presentation, just super easy. Just make it in bullet form and just summarize your top points and conclusions. You can sort it according to a topic such as recruiting or training, or you can just simply rank your top conclusions regardless of topic. So our goals today, you can see here, we all face the challenge of effectively replenishing our ranks with new talent. That's why we're here. And organizations must prepare for the diversification of their talent pools. And that's not only in terms of age, but also in the way that new workers approach their careers, solve problems, interact with technology. And by understanding this and designing training programs pursuant to them, organizations can go a long way to ensure the continuity of their human capital. And the greatest challenge impacting all organizations, but especially ones in manufacturing industry, is that older workers are going to begin retiring at a rapid pace. And this issue may become more complicated than simply how to replace the workers who are going to retire. We've had a lot of innovation, which has resulted in tremendous productivity improvements, but they've also made job functions in industry more complex. And as a result, organizations may have a difficult time filling these positions with appropriate talent, which only increases training and onboarding requirements. So, to help isolate some of these central dynamics and to postulate a few ideas for improvement, we conducted a workforce development survey jointly of automation world. If you look on the right side of the slide, you can see the breakdown of industry. I wish this came out a little bit clearer, but hopefully you can read it. And then in addition to some of the independent secondary research ARC has conducted, another resource we used was the Manufacturing Workforce Development Playbook from PacWorld. So the first slide is very simple, but it's also very important. We asked the survey respondents how challenging their employers experience developing new talent, acquiring new talent, and retaining new talent. And what unified the answers to this question was that industry just isn't very good with either of the three, which now we compare those results to this slide, where we asked about the respondents' overall satisfaction levels. And so while industry struggles with many aspects of talent management, employees are generally happy, especially if their choice to pursue a career in automation or an automation-related field. So now there's a dissonance between these two slides, and I want to look at that dissonance as the central dilemma in industry between job satisfaction and also the ubiquitous challenge that is presented by training. So the structure of the later parts of this presentation is going to be sharing of the rest of our survey data and offering some concurrent ARC analysis. All of this is just intended to be a platform for and to provide context for the roundtable discussion later. So we asked about what the respondents thought the most important factors were for job satisfaction. And what we took away from this was that criteria affecting the day-to-day workplace experience is most important to satisfaction. So two examples from this would be work-life balance and relationships within the company. Now, on the other hand, we took a few terms and titled them as resume builders. So for instance, job title and company prestige. We found that these generally are not as important to job satisfaction. So looking at the challenges, we came up with 4 major criteria for job satisfaction. That's autonomy, challenge, education, and impact. And autonomy just refers to the ability of the worker to earn the trust of the supervisor and eventually pursue self-guided work, while maybe increasing the level of challenge in the work if the worker has a history of achievement. And a lot of workers are very passionate about what they do, and organizations, I think, can do better to cultivate this enthusiasm by offering some method to pursue continuous education outside of the plant or the office or the facility, etc. And impact's the most important factor, and it's one that I want to come back to a little bit later and explain more in detail. But ultimately, workers like to understand their role as pertains to the company's overall role in the world, and companies can show them how they fit into this mission a little bit better. So next we gave the respondents a chance to discuss the leadership development program at their employers. And the most striking finding for this was the fact that 46% of respondents said that that their employer doesn't even offer a leadership development program. And so as we discuss further with a lot of these demographic shifts that are about to take place, this suggests to me that a lot of companies just aren't going to be prepared for the retirement of their key personnel. But how do companies even determine who their future leaders are? We found that companies value soft skills around just as much as hard skills or the occupational requirements of the position. And a lot of adjectives were thrown around to describe future leaders, which I put on the slide here. But in contrast, a lot of respondents didn't think that there was any criteria in choosing future leaders, and they believed that management authority is just a reward for long tenures at the company. So how can we improve career development as a whole? And the issue of transparency is really the most important aspect of this slide. That's transparency on multiple levels. That's transparency in offering feedback, transparency in offering a clear definition of what success looks like, and also transparency in offering key performance indicators. People need to know how they're being measured, and these measures need to be actionable and achievable and carefully vetted. The next issue we asked about was knowledge transfer, and this was a pretty interesting subject for a lot of people last year if you were attended. And we were interested to find out what tools companies use to facilitate knowledge transfer between employees. And what we found is that that broadcast emails is pretty pervasive within the industry. There you go. and was by far the most widely used knowledge transfer method. However, on the bottom of this list, we have social media, which came in a little bit lower than what we were expecting, since it's one that people seem to be talking about a lot. But evidently, companies rarely seriously implement social media. And this slide possibly offers the reason why. We asked how effective respondents thought these knowledge transfers were, and social media came in last by quite a lot. And that suggests that companies really just haven't been able to find any value proposition in social media yet. Also worth noting, if we refer back to the previous slide, is that optional classes is one of the least frequently used knowledge transfer methods, but then if we move forward a little bit, it's also one of the highest rated knowledge transfer channels. So something I want to emphasize is this idea of the mission-driven organization, and that's on multiple levels. It's the level of the business unit, the level of the individual, or the level of the corporation. And one element of fostering a sense of fulfillment in employee self-worth is to help them understand how their work fits into each level of the enterprise, and on the other side, how each level of the enterprise supports the overall company mission. And this often involves having a clear and transparent corporate message, which can be reinforced by purposeful actions. And ultimately, I think that clarifying this value chain and giving workers a sense of purpose will ultimately be beneficial for retention, and simply just make their work relevant and show them why they matter. And that's all I have for now. Thank you very much for your time.